When faith departs from the hearts of men, what remains is not freedom, it is emptiness. When the fear of God is forgotten, what takes its place is not peace, it is pride. And when people abandon divine truth, they begin to build their world on illusions of power, wealth, and desire. A faithless society is like a body without a soul. It may still breathe, speak, and move, but within it, something sacred has died. The light that once guided hearts becomes dim, and conscience turns silent. Every generation begins to drift further away from its creator, until even sin begins to look like progress. In such a world, people chase success but forget purpose. They build towers of glass and steel, but their homes echo with loneliness. They invent technologies that connect the globe, but their hearts remain disconnected. Children grow up without knowing why they were born, and adults spend their lives in pursuit of happiness that vanishes the moment they touch it. When faith leaves, the world loses its center. Greed becomes a virtue, deception becomes strategy, and corruption becomes the new normal. Leaders rise without mercy. Citizens obey without conscience. The rich exploit the poor, and justice becomes a word written on paper but erased from reality. This is the tragedy of a faithless civilization. It may conquer the stars, but it cannot conquer its own ego. The Holy Quran warns mankind. Do they not see how many generations we destroyed before them, nations mightier than they in power? Indeed, history bears witness. When societies rebelled against divine truth, their downfall came not from enemies, but from within themselves. Pharaoh's arrogance drowned him in his own river. The people of Ad were crushed by the wind they mocked. And modern civilizations, proud of their science yet poor in spirit, walk the same road of destruction, not by war, but by moral decay. Look around today. Where is humility? Where is truth that stands above lies and compassion that rises above cruelty? When a man loses faith, he loses shame. When a woman loses faith, she loses modesty. And when society loses faith, it loses humanity itself. The old are neglected, children are corrupted, and sin is celebrated as art. Faith is mocked as ignorance, and those who remember God are silenced in the name of freedom. But what kind of freedom is this? Freedom from conscience. Freedom from the truth that keeps us human? Without the fear of God, laws are written by the powerful for their own advantage. Without moral accountability, the poor starve while the rich feast. Without faith, the world is left with minds full of knowledge but hearts empty of wisdom. It is a world that knows how to build machines, but not how to build character. It knows how to reach the moon, but not how to reach peace. A society without faith becomes restless. It tries to replace God with entertainment, but the laughter is hollow. It tries to replace prayer with politics, but the promises are broken. And it tries to replace spiritual discipline with human arrogance, but the soul still cries out in silence. No amount of progress can fill the void of disbelief. For when man forgets God, he also forgets himself. Yet even in the darkest times, there is a spark of mercy. God does not abandon those who remember him with sincerity. One person with faith is stronger than 1,000 without it, because faith gives courage, clarity, and moral strength. When a believer rises in the morning and says, "O Lord, guide me to what pleases you," he becomes a pillar in a collapsing world. He may walk alone, but he walks with purpose. His heart is light, his words are truth, and his deeds are mercy. If our world is to survive, not merely exist, but truly live, it must return to faith. It must once again bow before the Creator, not before its own inventions. It must teach children that prayer is not weakness but power, that honesty is not foolishness but strength, and that fear of God is not oppression but liberation from sin. For when hearts remember their Lord, peace returns to the home, justice returns to the land, and light returns to the human soul. Let us not wait for another collapse, another disaster, another warning from history. The time to restore faith is now, in our homes, in our hearts, in our nations. Because without faith, civilization will shine for a moment and then vanish like dust in the wind. But with faith, faith built on truth, humility, and fear of God, humanity will endure forever. Faith is the light. Lack of faith is the shadow, and every shadow disappears when the light returns.